Why aren't they expressing any dissatisfaction and anger about that? Why aren't we seeing more fighting between the social conservatives and the rest of the Republicans and conservative folks?
Well, they don't have clear leaders now, although I'd be interested to see what Governor Huckabee has to say about this. He hasn't been heard from yet, because he's about as close as they come to a leader of the social conservatives right now. You might expect, given the Mormon Church's position, that Governor Romney would also be speaking out more on this, and maybe he will in the days ahead. But I think, you know, in answer to your question, the social conservatives, religious right, they don't have the mojo right now on the right. So they're a little bit on the defensive. There's not a sense that Karl Rove's strategies were very successful. You know, the left is very afraid of Karl Rove and always talking about how powerful he is. But he wasn't getting it done in the second Bush administration. And they clearly miscalculated on the Schiavo case. And there are a lot of Republicans you can talk to who say that was a terribly unpopular thing for them to do, to call Congress to a halt and, you know, intervene in this one case of this brain-dead woman. The other factor, which I think is quite important with more establishment Republicans, is the role of Ted Olson in this case. He has great credibility within the Republican Party establishment.
Last night he told me, in an interview right after the ruling, he said that he feels like conservatives are moving his way, that he hasn't felt like he's had to pay a lot of conservative sort of price for having taken the stand that he took.
Right. You know, because he was out front and because he has a lot of the facts on his side. This is the other thing, is that you do have a certain number of conservatives who recognize that the legal arguments for Prop 8 are weak and were dispensed with with great dispatch in this opinion, and are not likely to be resurrected successfully on appeal, because their whole argument was that gay marriage was damaging to kids, and that has just been slam dunked. And there are almost no experts. Really, there are only, quote, experts who are social conservatives themselves, who argue that anybody who studies it knows that's not true, and it doesn't make your kids more likely to be gay, or any of the kinds of things
they're going to drop this as a political strategy because the facts aren't on their side.
No, I'm not saying that.
That would be novel.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it strengthens Ted Olson's credibility when he is making the argument. So if you have the combination of establishment Republicans who don't really want to tackle this because they think it might be a political loser for them. They're not that interested. Many of them have members of their family who are gay. Combination of that, the fact that it's not central to the Tea Party movement, you're talking about a more sort of moribund part of the conservative movement that would be carrying the flag. Then, of course, you've got the hypocrite caucus, right, with Newt Gingrich out there. So you've got an awful lot of people who might otherwise be spokesmen, but they can't talk about the sanctity of marriage because they don't believe in it themselves, and they haven't walked the walk. And so those folks are all immediately discredited. So to have spokesmen on this when they have no facts on their side, and nowadays even on Fox, they'll get hammered if they have no arguments on their side. So you know, it's just a little bit tougher for them to go out there the way they used to, and we should take it as a a kind of a modest victory, unless it's the stealth plan.
Exactly. Newsweek senior editor, MSNBC contributor, and author of The Promise, President Obama Year One. Jonathan, thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Rachel.